What's up, Dolphins fans? This is Nic Rohloff of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. Welcome into a show here. Still at home on vacation, but going to be back in the studio very shortly. But today I wanted to go over the Miami Dolphins training camp winners and losers, at least to this point in camp. It's only been about a week and a half, but there has been many players who stand out and many players that have struggled, and I thought it was a good time, as we are exactly 1 week away from the first preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons, to kind of see how everyone is performing after a week or so. So let's jump right into it here. And the first winner that we have to talk about is a cornerback, Ethan Bonner. He has been absolutely terrific for Miami thus far, and I got to be honest, I did not project him as someone who's going to be on this roster. I knew he was a good special teams player, but after signing Saran Neal, having Nick Needham, thought Bonner's special teams value could be pushed to a different player and keep a different cornerback that could provide some defensive versatility as well. But Bonner has been playing out of his mind through the first week with pads on, with pads off. Bonner has been one of the top corners on this team, and his teammates are just giving him raving reviews, whether it be Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey. They're all giving Ethan Bonner his credit for how well he's performed so far at training camp. On today's practice, guess what? He had an interception defending Tyreek Hill. It was a little bit underthrown. It was a deep ball down the field, but Bonner made the play and got the turnover for the defense. Bonner's playing so well in the first week or so that he is really starting to gain momentum towards getting a roster spot. And if he continues to play this well throughout August and in the first 3 preseason games, then I don't think it's going to be very easy for Miami to leave Bonner off this 53-man roster. He was on it last year, so there is a legit chance that he is going to be on this roster once again. I have no issues with it if he continues to play the way he has, and we'll see if he's able to do that and do well against the Falcons in joint practices, as well as those preseason games that are going to get started up next week. Another defensive player makes our winner list here. I got 4 winners and 3 losers on today's show. The next defensive player, Quinton Bell, the edge rusher, who has just been honestly lighting it up so far at training camp. The 2 players that I see the most buzz about in terms of who is making the most plays has been Bell and Ethan Bonner. Now, Bell is an intriguing story because he went to Prairie View A&M, was a wide receiver, track athlete, and has really never been able to get his feet underneath him in the NFL. 4 teams prior to the Miami Dolphins. He's 28, only played in 9 games, but he has just been all over the football field. Many people have said he's the best athlete on the defensive line that they've been seeing outside of Chop Robinson. Unbelievable athlete, getting after the quarterback, making plays, and Quinton Bell, at least as of right now, is borderline a starter on this Dolphins defense, especially with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb still not out there for team activities and still not able to participate in a 11-on-11 or 7-on-7. Like, Quinton Bell's getting an opportunity, and he's making the most of it. Cameron Good, I know you cannot penalize someone for being on the PUP list, was on the team last year, but if Miami is going to keep 6 edges, which I anticipate them doing, especially with Phillips and Chubb kind of getting into the action a little bit later, Quinton Bell right now would be your 6th guy. Like, as I see it, the 6 edge rushers that I would expect to make this team at the end of August would be Phillips, it'd be Chubb, it'd be Chop, it'd be Mo Kamara, Emmanuel Ogbah, and then Quinton Bell. He is a clear-cut winner if you're asking me, and he is someone that we have to keep our eye out for in these preseason games to see if he can continue that momentum and continue to earn a roster spot for the Miami Dolphins. But speaking of preseason football, we are 1 week away. Yes, 1 week until the Dolphins take the football field against the Atlanta Falcons. How excited are you for preseason football to get underway? I'll take anything right now for Miami. Scale it 1 to 10 for me down in the comment section. I'm at a 10. I need it right now. Continuing along here, I got 2 more winners. We'll just say them right here, both together. Chop Robinson, the rookie edge who was drafted 21st overall out of Penn State, and Achane, the second-year running back out of Texas A&M. We'll start by mentioning Chop here. And you mentioned a theme, or I mentioned a theme here with Bell and Chop. Both are unbelievably good athletes on the defensive line who are both getting extended opportunities to run with the number one defense in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 due to the fact that Bradley Chubb and not Chop, but Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are not participating in team activities. And those two have done an excellent job at beating Austin Jackson at times, Teron Armstead at times. It's not full 100%. Obviously, Jackson and Armstead win some of these reps and win some of these battles, but the trio of Bell, Chop, and Manuel Agba have continuously created pressure on this Miami Dolphins offense and quarterback Tua Tagovailoa throughout the team activities. Beat reporters are just raving about this pass rush right now for Miami early on in training camp, and that is without Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. So that's really good news for the Dolphins. A lot of people have complimented Robinson's work ethic, his athleticism, his first step off the line, and sure, he's going to have a long way to go to craft his technique, get down his defensive run stopping as well, but throwing him in obvious passing down situations in relief with his fresh legs against maybe tired offensive linemen, he can wreak havoc. The lone offensive player we're going to talk about today in the winner portion is Devon Achane. The second year back out of Texas A&M has been hitting home runs left and right, already repped an orange jersey this camp as well. Achane has been absolutely making plays, and he's seen a lot of good use in the passing game as well, not just in the running department, and that's something that we've talked about quite a bit here in the offseason about how Miami is going to utilize Achane and this running back room. I expect Achane to have a second-year breakout. Hard to break out after having 800 yards and 11 total touchdowns last year as a rookie in only 11 games. But Achane is definitely someone who will be flirting with 1,000 total yards this year, double-digit touchdowns again, and you get him in a rotation with Jalen Wright and Raheem Mostert, it's going to be absolute fireworks in that Dolphins backfield, and I cannot wait to see Achane hit the field this preseason as well in the regular season because he is going to be absolutely dominant. Before we get to my losers on today's show, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Like I said, preseason's in a week. We will be live for that game. We will be live for every Dolphins game this year. Preseason, regular season, playoffs, Super Bowl, hopefully. Does not matter. We will be live every Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. Don't matter. So hit that sub button and join us next week for the Dolphins' first preseason game. All right, let's move over to the losers. I have three. 2.5, if you will. The first player we're going to talk about is Erik Ezukanma, the wide receiver, who we thought something was up when the Dolphins signed Willie Snead just a couple days ago because it didn't really feel like Miami needed another wide receiver on this roster. Even though Taj Washington is out for the year, the 7th-round rookie out of USC, I still didn't really think adding a depth wide receiver made a ton of sense for the Dolphins, but it became abundantly clear why they did that after Ezukanma has been missing some time on the practice field. We know Erik has missed time in the past, and it's caused him to not really get his feet underneath him in the NFL so far because he's got good size, speed, and talent to where he could be an NFL wide receiver on some team in the National Football League. But it hasn't been the case in Miami, and it seems like he is having another injury problem here, which is why Willie Snead was signed. And I would love to see Erik make this squad, but from all accounts, River Craycraft has had a average to above average start to camp. And with Erik having that injury history, Willie Snead being signed, I'm putting him behind the 8 ball here. So if I had to project the top 6 wide receivers on this team, based off what I'm hearing right now, it sounds like it's going to be Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, OBJ, Braxton Berrios, Malik Washington, and River Craycraft. Now, Willie Snead might be able to take one of those spots, but Erik is probably behind both Willie and Craycraft, at least as things currently set, due to his injuries, and we know what his past is as well. Now, things could free up if OBJ doesn't return in time for the regular season. I expect him to do so, but Erik Ezukanma is definitely on the outside looking in as we currently look at the Dolphins' 53-man roster projection. We're going to group the last 2 losers here together. Aaron Brewer is a loser for the Dolphins, but I'm also grading the Dolphins' offensive line as a whole a loser too. We'll start with Brewer because he's had some snap issues early in camp. Him and Tua have worked on it. We was really noticeable a couple days ago on Tuesday and Wednesday with the snap issues, not always accurate, not always on time. And that tends to happen when you're starting to work together for the first time, which Tua and Aaron Brewer are, because they haven't had team activities in mandatory minicamp or OTAs due to Tua not really participating, but also Brewer coming back from an injury. So the two just need more time to really hash things out. But I'm bullish on Brewer. I think he'll figure it out, but there's no sugarcoating that he has not been good in the first week and a half of training camp, which lands him on the losers list. To finish out this video and talk about the offensive line as a whole, I'm not worried about it, but like I mentioned, there has been lots of reports of this Dolphins defensive line creating some havoc and getting after Tua in these 11-on-11 drills. And that is without, for the final time today, Chubb or Phillips, who are the top two edge rushers for the Miami Dolphins. So if this is something they're struggling with now, I'm a little concerned about how they're going to progress. Granted, all right, sorry for the jump cut there, but my computer stopped recording for some reason. But to finish out my thoughts there on the offensive line, it hasn't been great early, but we do have a lot of time to work together. And as they start to formalize the starting line, I still believe it's going to be a average to below average group in the NFL. And we know it's one of the weakest points on this team, if not the weakest point. So hopefully they're going to continue to get better and better. There's been positive remarks about Robert Jones and his potential emergence as the starting right guard. He had a really good practice on Friday, which kind of puts him as the starter in my mind. Now, I made the prediction before camp began that Jack Driscoll might take over that starting spot, but it does really seem like Robert Jones has a chokehold on it as of now. But like I said, we'll have to see how things change and potentially progress when we have more practices against other teams in training camp getting underway, with joint practices against the Falcons, Commanders, and other teams, and as well as the preseason game. But the Dolphins offensive line definitely is a loser as of now. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed, because we're going to bring daily content, 2 more videos the next weekends here, and then we're going to be in preseason week number 1. So make sure you join us for all of our content, because it's going to be an absolute blast. I'll see you with another video tomorrow. Go Fins.